It has been 46 days since Chris last begged for money. It has been 329 days since Chris last uploaded pages to meet his paid obligations to the Sonichu comic. It has been 3,989 days since Chris last applied for a job. Hello and welcome to the Chris Chan Weekly Update for the end of August 2020. I am your host GiBi, and we are going to start out, like normal, on Chris's Twitter. Since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, Chris has believed that he is possessed by Sonichu. Sonichu, his amazing electric hedgehog creation, has been possessing his actual human body in this dimension. Meanwhile, Chris's soul has been in the fictional Sonichu dimension of C197, looking for 8 or 7, I forget, power cubes. These cubes, when combined, can travel through time. Chris hopes to prevent coronavirus from happening so that he can attend BabsCon, a My Little Pony convention that was cancelled because of the virus. One of Chris's goals has been to make his home a Pokemon Go gym. He's already labeled it as a business on Google Maps. It's apparently a Sonichu headquarters. But you can't suggest that a place become a Pokemon Go location until you reach level 40 in the game. Sonichu tweeted, "I finally did it for Mama Chris Chan. Pokemon Go level 40. I can finally nominate this temple personally. Krakow! Lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt." We also see that Chris has begun using new custom emojis. This of Sonichu zapping the lightning. M. Buster says, "I had level 40 like 2 years ago. Come on, Chris, get with the program." And Chris shows off his laughing, crying Sonichu emoji. Twitter artist The Skooma Den uploaded an image of Quickville under siege. "Here's my latest drawing, boyos. Your queen, Chris Chan, has slain all in her path, and now sits atop her burning throne, among a mountain of ash and bone, sovereign of this shattered world. Not even the might of Kitasuna could best her, or her many, many companions." Helena quote tweets this, saying, "This sure looks like a scary reality." Keeping in mind that Chris Chan believes that all possible realities are happening somewhere out there in the multiverse. That means that by his stated logic, this is in fact happening somewhere. Chris says, "Not in our timeline and dimension set, here and upcoming." What he means by that is our current dimension, the one that me and you are in right now, and also C197, where he believes that the Sonichu that he chronicles in his comic lives. He's saying that this art does not depict something happening in that set of dimensions. He says here and upcoming, because those two dimensions are going to merge in something he calls the dimensional merge. Just to clarify, I mean in our timelines. It will not be apocalyptic like that at all. Carrie Kruger says, "I think that drawing is Sockness trying to hijack you." Jacob Sockness is of course trying to take over Chris's imaginary world. Chris thankfully no longer believes that Jacob actually has any power over him, so he says he's never going to do that. A lol, which I believe stands for actually laughing out loud. And he posts this again. We then learn from Skooma Den that Jacob Sockness actually doesn't like him and blocked him a while ago. Chris officially was able to nominate his house, his temple, the Sonichu Temple, as a Pokemon Go gym. Our quick Sonichu Temple is nominated. I share a humble shout out to my fellow level 40 players. Please rate highly and positively. The tides turn against all haters of this dimension. Thank you all for your kindness. Lots of love." He's just spamming this emoji at this point. Chris, go to bed. Zzz. Krakow! Krakow is apparently like onomatopoeia for lightning bolts. As stated earlier, Chris thinks that a bunch of fictional characters live together in C197, including the characters from Slime and Punishment. The author of that comic says, C197's Chris has been slain in retribution for the devastation brought on by her Soda Rain Holocaust. But we are not done. New Los Angeles City, aka Neo-Milwaukee, officially declares war on the city of Quickville. Hee, slime. This kind of baiting Chris never ends well, but fortunately, Chris doesn't seem to be taking the bait. He says, "That is a big nope. Alpha timeline, yes. But that was the sister dimension of C194 and 1214 you've accessed. Plus, Chris Chan teleported and escaped to ensure her timeline safety. The beta timeliners did not last long in the alpha timeline. Ours here is the Omega. What he means by that is that the events where the slime people attacked Quickbill and supposedly killed a Chris Chan did not happen in either the real dimension, ours, or C197, where the quote-unquote real Sonichu lives. That was just a different dimension. Also, Chris is saying that in that different dimension, Chris didn't die, she just teleported away. There is no retcon or altering on your end that can ever change things from what I have informed you now, Ben. Ben being Ben Saint, the author of the Slime comics. So this is literally two people arguing about their make-believe pretend world, and one saying, "Nuh-uh, this happened." One saying, "I shot you," the other saying, "Nuh-uh, I teleported away, you missed." The difference is that Chris Chan is actually insane and believes it's real, and Ben Saint is just picking on the crazy kid. I don't know why. We don't know what Jacob Sockness said in this hidden tweet, because one of his accounts is protected. But Chris replies to it and says, "You're no sack of fresh potatoes in this timeline either, Sockness. You can do with a shut up, and quit putting up as well. See you soon enough." So yeah, apparently Jacob was complaining about the other dimension or something. Now that is the end of Chris's Twitter shenanigans for the last 8 days, but it's not the only thing that we have from him. We actually have 2 interviews that Chris, or Sonichu I guess, did via text messages, or Discord messages, with the group known as the Watchmen. If you don't know your quick lore, the Guard Dogs were a group of Kiwi Farms users led by Noel that wanted to protect Chris from people like the Idea Guys. The Watchmen are an evolution of that. They're a group of different people, most notably MKR, who are trying to protect Chris from people like Jacob Sockness. So these are people that treat Chris well and that he likes, that basically get information out of him by treating him like a real person, and if anything bad actually happens, like people are trying to steal money from him, they'll intervene. So they had an interview with him. Some of it's not very important, like, "Hey, have you ever played the video game Lego Island? If yes, what is your opinion about it?" Chris's responses are always going to be in yellow, because he's technically Sonichu. "Firstly, Mama has played Lego Island during its original PC game release time. She still has the Infomaniac minifig that came with her disc copy of the game. It is a good game, a few bugs and simplistic, but good for its time. Second, oh hello. At everyone, I am sensing heavy, dimensional timeline distortions. I'm also sensing a time loop happening somewhere. I'm not sure where in this dimension or who it is affecting." And we can see this image of the conversation actually happening on Discord. "I was wondering if you could answer some of the mailbag. Many fans have excellent questions that will help in the chronicling. I'll paste some here to make it easy for you. Have you finished watching My Little Pony Season 9? Chris says, "Yes, Mama has reluctantly watched the future episode of the season that was very much premature on being chronicled and shown at all. Who were the characters from the 80s that you liked the best? Any character who appeared from 1980 through 1989 in what would be a cartoon of this world? Mama mainly appreciated Bumblebee, Smurfette, and many others from the decade. I was wondering if you would ever be willing to talk about Transformers and what you like about the different series. Which series is your favorite/least favorite? Are there any characters you love/hate? Have you ever played any of the games, and if so, which ones? Sometime later on, that will be doable." That's obviously just in response to the "I was wondering if you will ever be willing to talk about Transformers," and he just ignores the rest of the questions. "How do you look back at Bob and his work?" Robert Chu was annoying to her being Chris Chan. "We are all very appreciative of his work. We all very much appreciate his work and efforts that he has done before coming to C197 from 1218, and presently as he does." So what that means is that Chris believes that his father is now a Sonichu named Robert Chu. He crossed over from 1218, which is our dimension, into C197 when he died. So he's saying that Chris and all the different Sonichus appreciated the stuff that Bob did in life, and they currently still appreciate what he's doing over in the other dimension, where he is still alive. Will you be making another music album anytime soon? Possible, but not likely. Could you explain more on what is CPU Blueheart? Chris calls himself CPU Blueheart because he believes that the goddesses in the Hyperdimension Neptunia series are real and that he is CPU Blueheart of the Commodore 64. He says, "The CPU Blueheart is the goddess of the Commodore gaming consoles and computers. The original, Scarlet, had served a very long time, until when she had to pass on her powers and responsibilities unto Mama Chris-chan, who is the present CPU Blueheart, on top of her other responsibilities and duties." Will you be making any more comic books? The books are continued to be made as we speak by her, personally, and everyone in this dimension 1218, along with C197, are literally living them, so that is a yes. That's actually a kind of confusing answer, because Chris believes that as time moves on in the other dimension, that's kind of the same as the comic books happening. He might be saying that that's him making more comic books because he's actually living through the stories. That doesn't answer if he's actually drawing the books themselves. What are your thoughts on and how do you feel about Joshua Noel Moon? Noel is the owner and admin of the Kiwi Farms. Moon is an ally. We are of neutral feeling about him, and we are most grateful for his help and abilities throughout all of these times, despite his consciously spoken disbeliefs in things fictional, regardless of them all being literal fact and happening as we speak. He's in a complex position, and I have amazing respect for his ethics regarding all of this. Moon knows better, and knows more than he lets on. So Chris is just saying that he likes Noel, but he's kind of angry that Noel doesn't believe in his fictional characters. Alright, so I've talked about this scene in my Sonichu series. So you have this character. This character is Nightstar. Nightstar is Chris's pony OC who lives in Equestria. That's the My Little Pony homeworld. Equestria is a different dimension than C197, which is where the rest of the fictional characters live. Everybody in Equestria, if they travel over to C197, adopts a human form, because that's kind of what happens in the My Little Pony TV special Equestria Girls. So this character in the story is called Christian Knight Weston Star Chandler. This is supposed to be some sort of different form of Chris existing in C197. This isn't the C197 version of Chris, right? This isn't the Chris from the comic books, nor is this real Chris. My best understanding of it is that this is the human equivalent in C197 of the pony equivalent Nightstar, who is the pony equivalent of the real Chris. So someone asks, could you explain a bit more on the scene from Sonichu 12.9, where Nightstar meets Christine Knight Weston Star Chandler? What exactly took place in that scene, and what is Christine Knight Weston Star Chandler's past story? For the record, that is still Chris-chan, but in her alicorn form when she enters Equestria without using the Kunami code to keep her human form. What's there to explain? Mama has the ability to open portals and go to other dimensions, and she went to Ponyville to hang out with Nightstar and Kun, and to wrap up Nightstar's book, simple as that. So, this is referring to a different scene where Chris goes to, the My Little Pony world and becomes an alicorn. So this person says, no, I'm talking about the Kennerlot High scene. Oh, and again, it's the scene. That was a misinterpretation on Mama's part. That Chris-chan was actually Christine-chan, as she was visiting Kennerlot High School, and had that fateful meeting with the human girl who was Diamond Melody's self-counterpart. Aside from that, it was also a commentary on the upgrade of Mama's EQG Minis figure that went from yellow to pink, and the discovery of that cutie mark. Moreover, that was a creative liberty Mama had taken for that particular book. So I believe what Chris is saying is that this yellow character is, in fact, the human version of Chris from the story. The one that has 2 children. This is actually the human version of Chris from the story, so this is the person who's on the cover of Sonichu issue 0. And the reason that they're yellow and that they turn pink is to mirror the real-life doll that Chris has, who used to be yellow but now is pink. And he says that it's basically just not fully canon because he took liberties. This person says, sometimes it might seem like I need a chart for all the variants. It's a lot. I'm assuming that's a reference to the chart that I made in my video. Chris says, no. Not my fault she painted her original figure yellow and stuck with vinyl scratches cutie mark for a temporary replacement until she discovered her own cutie mark. I don't know what that means. Ever consider doing a commentary over the Geno documentaries? I know you've said there's some inaccuracies, but also maybe more context to some things you'd want to cover? And Chris responds, at a later date, Mama will personally do commentary on Gino's series, so that's actually something really cool to look forward to. Do you still play on your PS4, and will you be getting the newer consoles? I've been chilling more often in the bedroom the past months, and been distant from the PS4 and Xbox One consoles in the other room, and, presently, not much ample ability to bring in the secondary monitor and relocate the consoles in here at this time. Need I explain the present situation and amount of stuff in this one room again? That's in reference to how cluttered Chris's house is. We've been more focused on the dimensional events that have been going on, and it's easier to work on that in here, although it is easier to do the same outside of this room and this house and this yard as well. Have you ever listened to the song Baba O'Reilly by The Who? And Chris says, heard it in a movie before, and then edited it to, Mama's heard it in a movie before. So, maybe it's because he's not really Sonichu. Do you like it? Yeah. What do you think made you a target for everything that's been happening to you since your discovery on the internet? In reference to Mama? Yes. According to her memory, and it syncs up, pretty much that sweetheart search. Why do you think that search was started? Any specific reason? Or was it to follow the mainstream? Sorry if these remind you of bad events. Well, if you want to go deeper, then it was the epic fail and lonely and shy attempts she had made in the early 2000s in meeting other people. But, on faded points, and along with all the other self-counterparts. It basically stems to that a lot revolves around her, and everyone was seeing her and recognizing her as the central focus of everything, period. So Chris is saying that he's the main character of Earth and that he's God, and so all this stuff had to revolve around him. And in the ironic sense that originally, she wanted a specific female friend back in her college days, that being Megan, I guess, that she ends up attracting even greater amounts of attention. And like Harui, this person, I don't know who that is, Mama was unaware for the time of this OP ability of hers, and that she wasn't the type of aggressive assertive as Harui to push things forward. But yeah, in the world where everyone was recognizing her, she was still lost way back then. Didn't get as much of the bad events and memories, but I was linked with the cosmos and analyzed it further. And from that, a whole bunch of people of this dimension linked up with their self-counterparts and further recognized her abilities and future of ascending to deity level. He's saying that people started following and believing in him because they were able to access their original characters, their OCs, in the other dimension, which led them to believing that Chris is in fact a god. And of that, wanted to exploit her during a time she was unaware of that aspect of herself. Joshua Wise recognized this as well. Freaking idea guy. Joshua Wise and the other idea guys convinced Chris that they were doing bad things to his fictional characters in the other dimension and extorted lots of money out of him. Could that in some way be one explanation of how a relationship could be perceived as asymmetrical? Yes. In this case, it was the ship of Chris Chan with everyone. Well, I know a lot of group myths is Randos and Zeus sleeping around. These relationships are never presented as too practical. Not surprising. And then Chris says, gonna take a break, watch some vids on YouTube or something, later. These interviews were picked up again on August 27th. Now, this is the first time since the beginning of COVID that Chris is himself. He says, first off, please pay attention, because this is Christine Chandler from Dimension 1214, who has been taking off for the while now. We are usually Dimension 1218, so this Dimension 1214 is a slightly different dimension than our real one. Can you tell us what the major difference between 1214 and 1218 are? Michael Jackson lived a few more years and put out 2 more albums, talking about old age and the feeling of veering on death and not wanting to be old while feeling young. He still OD'd at his time of death. And I've had to put up with Ben Saint's slime nonsense from his beta timeline into my alpha timeline. This one here is the omega timeline. So it seems that the only difference between 1214 and 1218 are the actions of Ben Saint and his slime comic, and that Michael Jackson put out 2 albums. Now, if we were to ask Chris to play us some songs from these albums, he couldn't sing us, you know, he couldn't give us the lyrics of them. And the reason that he can't is because it's not real. What does Lightning Heart Lightning mean? That is our symbol for CPU Blue Heart, as thought up by your Chris Chan, the original that brought up every single other Chris Chan in all dimensions and timelines. It's our emoji signature. So you can see that Chris is definitely taking a lot of stuff. Technically it's from the Marvel Universe, but I'm guessing that he knows about it through Rick and Morty, that there's like a bunch of different Chris Chans from different dimensions that now interact. Who is faster, Sonic or Sonichu? Equal in speed, really, with slight difference. The ability that Sonichu has by default is his electric abilities that could trip up Sonic, if you wanted to play unfair in the foot race. So they're equal speed, but Sonichu could zap Sonic. And then the last question. Who are your favorite YouTubers, or what are your favorite YouTube channels? And Chris says, now is not a good time for a question and answer, because this brain is fatigued after a very active day. So that's all we get for this week so far, although these regular Q&As might give us a lot more insight into what Chris is actually doing in his day-to-day life, way more than him just randomly tweeting out about Pokemon on his Twitter. Speaking of randomly tweeting out about Pokemon on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at GiBi_Devin. I will have more updates on Chris, and I'll be tweeting out links to when I go live on my YouTube channel, where I'm currently playing through a hacked ROM of Pokemon Fire Red called Pokemon Clover. It was made by some 4chan users, it has a lot of memes, and it actually has an NPC named after Chris Chan, and it has a Pokemon that's a combination of Sonichu and Chris that is currently the head of my team. So you guys can watch out for that. Thanks for watching.